Hello everyone, my name is Ngô Thị Như Thủy. I'm a PhD student at the Department of English at National Taiwan Normal University. Today I'm very pleased to present my research at the MELTA conference. And my research topic is about virtual reality for vocabulary learning, a meta-analysis and implication toward L2 classroom practices. First of all, I would like to introduce some background information. So as we know, virtual reality or VR will provide an immersive and interactive environment in which the user will create their own avatar and walk through the artificial environment by the support of the headgear. And VR is an emerging technology that can revolutionize the learning and teaching experiences, and it can push the language learning performance of students. And the 3D VR positively affects vocabulary learning because of the rich contextualization and the multimodal input, according to Chang et al. 2019. And Wang et al. 2019 conducted a meta-analysis examining the effects of VR on language learning. The results indicated the moderate to large effect of VR on vocabulary learning. The coherent G-value is equal to 0.7, meaning that VR can facilitate vocabulary learning. However, the attempt to cover a large and general scope of language learning of Wang et al. 2019 led to the limited insights offered for specialized disciplines, for example, vocabulary learning. So a more fine-grained meta-analysis solely investigates the effect of VR on vocabulary learning is needed to provide a more robust evidence. And furthermore, the current meta-analysis will examine some other moderator, for example, intervention time or language distance or learning platform or learning outcomes. And there is an update with some emerging studies in 2020. And here are the research questions of the present meta-analysis. The first one, what is the overall effect size of implementing VR for immediate vocabulary learning achievement? And the second one, to what extent do moderator variables have an impact on immediate vocabulary learning achievement? And the third one, to what extent can VR facilitate vocabulary retention of language learners? This is the method of the study. About the inclusion criteria, I included the peer-reviewed journal article and thesis or dissertation, and the study should be conducted at a quasi or experimental, and that they have control or and experimental groups and pre and post tests, and they provide detail of mean, standard deviation or the t-values or the f-values, and they have vocabulary tests and the VR application, and they should be written in English. And here is the procedure for collecting the primary study. I collected the primary study from the ERIC Educational Research Information Center or the ProQuest about the scholarly journal or ProQuest of dissertation and thesis, and some SSCI journal, and also I did the search on Google Scholar. I will read through the title or the abstract or the quick scanning of the table or the keyword to collect some potential study. And I also look at the Wang et al. 2019 article pool, and then I apply the inclusion criteria and to collect the qualified study pool for the current meta-analysis. And here is the list of the SSCI journal for paper screening. So like Australia Journal of Educational Technology or British Journal of Educational Technology or Computer Assisted Language Learning or Journal of Computer Assisted Learning or Language Learning and Technology, Recall System or Computer and Education. There were three sets of keywords for paper screening. The first one related to virtual reality, for example, like virtual reality, virtual environment, virtual world, or 3D or immersion. The second set of keywords related to vocabulary learning, for example, like vocabulary or words or lexical. And the third set of keywords related to research design, so like the control, experimental, experiment, pre-test, post-test, vocabulary test, achievement, or performance. And here is the coding scheme. First code is about years of publication, meaning the year that the paper was officially published, and the type of publication, so where the paper were published, like SCI journal or conference proceeding paper or thesis or dissertation. And the third code is about language distance. So the coding was based on the index of difficulty of learning a foreign language. So I will code it far if the score below 2 and code is close if the score above 2. And for the target languages, it means that the language that participants need to learn in the study. And also about the educational level, like elementary or junior high or college or mixed. And also about the learning modes. So whether it's individual autonomous learning or collaborative learning or teacher-centered learning. The next code is about VR type, whether it's a game type or the social type. The game type means that the participant play or make decision, and the social type means that participant experience social practices. And next code is about VR platforms. So where the basis where the VR application were built on, for example, like desktop-based VR or mobile-based VR. And also about intervention time. So I will code it as long if the study lasted for several days to several weeks or months. And I will code it as short if the study lasted for only one time point. And also the last code is about learning outcomes. So emerged from the selected study, 4 types of learning outcomes were coded, like meaning recognition at visual mode, and meaning recall and meaning recognition at oral mode, and productive level. And here is the result of the study. The test of publication bias showed the non-significant result, meaning that there is no significant evidence of publication bias. So there is no need to do further test of the impact of publication bias. And here is the overall effect size and the heterogeneity test. So the overall effect size is very large. And also the heterogeneity show the significant value, meaning that there is a substantial variability in the outcomes between the studies, and it provides a need for a further moderator analysis. And here is the moderator analysis. The first moderator is target languages. So we can see the English had a very large effect size, but Spanish and Swedish have negative effect size. So meaning that VR is beneficial to implement for teaching English vocabulary, but more investigation are needed for other languages since the number here are relatively small. And the next moderator is about language distance. So we can see here the close distant language, they have the negative effect size, but the far language distance have the very large effect size. So meaning that compared to the traditional methods, so VR can better facilitate vocabulary learning of a far distant language, but not for close distant language. And the third moderator is about educational levels. Like we can see here, elementary school had a very large effect size. So mean that VR is beneficial to implement in the elementary level, but a cost implication for undergraduate level. We can see here the confidence interval is across 0, so it means that there is sometimes it provide negative effects. So we need to be cautious, and that there is a need for investigation in senior high school student, because there is no study so far in senior high school student. And the next moderator is about intervention time. So we can see here the effect size of the long intervention time is very small, relatively small, and the confidence interval were across 0. So and the short time have a very large effect size. So we could say that VR is not useful for the long-term usage. Long-term usage meaning several days or weeks or months. And the fifth moderator is about VR design. So there is a non-significant value in the heterogeneity test, meaning that there is no significant difference between game and social. However, there was only 2 studies about game, and the confidence interval were across 0, meaning that using game design is uncertain and that more investigation are needed. And using the social type, meaning that the interaction in the virtual environment can better facilitate vocabulary learning than traditional method. Well, as we can see, the cohort D is very large. And the next moderator is about VR platform. So again, the heterogeneous test is not significant, meaning that there is no difference between desktop and mobile. So desktop and mobile are equally beneficial. And the next moderator is about learning outcomes. And as we can see here, the meaning recognition at visual level had the largest effects. So meaning that VR is beneficial for learning vocabulary at recognition level. However, it's not good for listening. So here we can see the meaning recognition oral level. The effect is very small, and the confidence interval without across 0, and also the productive, also the effect is negative. So it's not good for productive outcome. And this is the result from the retention effect size. There was only 5 studies that had delayed both tests. And after meta-analyze them, the results show that there is a large effect size, meaning that VR can facilitate vocabulary retention like 1, 2, or 3 weeks. And here come the conclusion and implication of the current meta-analysis. So VR has a large effect on both immediate vocabulary achievement and vocabulary retention from the moderator analysis. So we can say that more efficient in teaching English vocabularies with large effect size. Only this is similar to the general language learning at Wang et al. 2019 also conclude that it's more efficient in teaching English. But later on of result here are different to the to Wang et al. 2019. And elementary school students are benefited much more significant from VR. And implementing VR at college level so inconsistent effects compared to the traditional method. So meaning that either use traditional methods or further modify the VR program to facilitate vocabulary learning at college level. Next one, VR social type is largely beneficial to vocabulary learning, and no super roles of VR game is found, and the roles is inconsistent. However, it needs more future investigation because there was only 2 studies in VR game. And the next indication is that a VR program is more efficient in facilitating the vocabulary learning of a far distant language with a very large effect size. However, the traditional methods are still more useful for the close distance language. And VR is more effective for the short-term use, like one-time board. For the long-term use of VR, it does not show any better effect than the traditional methods. So, however, the study that use the long-term design, they only focus on the autonomous learning. So future research can further explore the effect of VR long-term usage on vocabulary learning with the application of collaborative learning or teacher-centered approach. And the equal usefulness of mobile-based VR and desktop-based VR with both solar effects. So meaning that learners and teachers can have a flexible choice. However, more investigation are needed in the mobile-based VR platform because of there was only two research on mobile-based VR. And the current VR programs are efficient in helping learners recognize the target language at visual form. But its limitations are on the improving learner listening and productive outcome. So the solution is that the designer of the VR program can pay attention to improving the ASR system, autonomous speech recognition system, to tailor individual differences so that it can facilitate listening. And VR program can offer more interactive activity targeting the productive learning outcome, so it can facilitate the productive vocabulary learning outcome. And here is my conclusion remark. So VR generally had a large effect on facilitating vocabulary learning. Yes, teachers are expected to consider teaching goals, for example, like productive knowledge or perceptive knowledge of vocabulary, or student background, for example, whether they from the far language distance or the close language distance. Consider the VR resources there, whether we have a mobile base or the desktop base, so that we can ensure the best learning outcomes. And the limitation of the present study is that there was only a small number of studies, so which produced some inclusive finding of some variable. So this study serves as the preliminary investigation, and future researchers can pay more attention to VR in order to explore its holistic applicability into our language learning field, or especially in vocabulary learning. And here is the list of references. Only for the citation appear in the PPT content. So that is all of my presentation. Thank you for listening.